All right, strap in, everybody. Today, we are diving deep, deep into a case that feels like it's straight out of a crime thriller. You know, the assassination of the UnitedHealth CEO Brian Thompson.
Yeah.
We've got tons of news reports, police findings, all that stuff to sort through.
Element of it.
So let's just jump right in.
Let's do it.
This is not your typical crime, especially when we're talking Midtown Manhattan, right? This is a professional hit in broad daylight. The suspect vanished, poof, like a ghost, and then the clues. They're more like riddles. What's going on?
It's a head scratcher for sure. You know, the pieces, they don't quite fit yet. You got this super public stack planned down to the minute in a place you wouldn't expect. And then you got these like almost theatrical elements. Inscribed bullets.
Yeah.
A cross-state bus ride. I mean, it's a strange mix.
It really is. It's like the suspect wanted to be sure this wasn't just another shooting.
Yeah.
Like they were making a statement.
Oh, absolutely.
So, okay, let's rewind back to the beginning. What do we actually know about what happened? So, Thompson's walking to an investor conference right in the heart of Midtown, and then, bam, someone opens fire.
Just like that.
Brazen, chaotic. It all happens so fast.
Witnesses described it as pure panic. You know, this wasn't some random shooter. This suspect was waiting for Thompson. They picked their moment, fired multiple shots, and then just disappeared. Gone. Down an alleyway towards Central Park.
Wow.
It's that level of planning, you know? That purposefulness. That's what makes this so unusual, so different.
So we're thinking professional, maybe even a hired gun,
Yeah.
But then how do they just disappear? It's like too clean, like a spy movie or something.
Right, and that's where the suspect's movements before the shooting really matter.
Yeah.
This wasn't just boom, in and out. This was a whole orchestrated thing, step by step. The suspect took steps to cover their tracks every step of the way. Based on the footage, surveillance, police reports, they've put together a pretty good timeline. So, get this. The suspect arrived in New York City 10 days before the hit. Greyhound bus, all the way from Atlanta.
10 days. That's a long time to just lay low, waiting. It's like they were really casing the area, making sure everything was in place.
That's exactly it. And it gets... Wait, there's more. The suspect checks into a hostel on the Upper West Side, pays cash at first.
Smart?
Then a few days later, goes back, rebooks the room. This time, fake ID, New Jersey.
Whoa.
They knew what they were doing, trying to make it hard to trace them. Confusing, you know?
So we've got meticulously planned attacks, suspects going all out to stay anonymous. But they weren't a complete ghost, were they? There were those sightings, those glimpses of them around the city before it all went down.
You're right, there were. So on the morning of the assassination, the suspect's on the subway. Then, get this, stops at a Starbucks near Thompson's hotel.
No way.
Chilling to think about it, right? Like, they were just casually having their coffee, knowing what was about to happen.
I don't get it. Why even risk being seen at all? Why not just stay hidden until the attack?
Yeah, it's a good question. Investigators are wondering the same thing. Maybe it was, I don't know, arrogance? Or maybe they had to be there to make sure Thompson was where he was supposed to be. Whatever the reason, it's a weak spot in the whole plan, for sure.
And then, poof, after the shooting, vanished again. It's like they just melt in into the city. How is that even possible?
It really is remarkable, especially in Midtown, you know. Witnesses saw them taking off on an e-bike through Central Park. Ditched the bike then, a taxi to the Port Authority bus terminal. Maybe they left New York completely, who knows?
So arrival, attack, escape, all planned out. But they weren't perfect, right? There were clues. And some of them are just strange. A gun with inscribed bullets, that's like theatrical, a message or something.
Let's talk about the clues, because that's what makes this case different. The gun itself, it's unusual. It's a B&T Station 6 long barrel silencer. Not the kind of thing you just find lying around.
Yeah, and then those shell casings, each one, there's a word on it. Deny, defend, depose. Some people are saying it's maybe a reference to that book, the one that's super critical of the whole insurance industry.
Interesting, right. It's both fascinating and, like, frustrating for the investigators. Are these words a real clue? A personal vendetta against Thompson or the industry as a whole? Or is it a red herring, just meant to throw everyone off?
It feels personal, though, right? Like taunting the police. What do you think? Are we dealing with like a disgruntled employee, someone with a score to settle, or is it something bigger?
It's impossible to say right now. We've got these puzzle pieces, they're interesting, but the whole picture, it's not clear yet. Along with those bullets, there was a fingerprint smudged on that Starbucks cup and other DNA samples from the scene. Could be a lot of evidence, but depends on what the lab can do.
So even though the suspect thought they were being so careful, they might have messed up. left something behind.
Maybe.
But why do it this way? What would make someone go to these lengths? I guess we'll dig into that next.
It's like trying to get inside the head of somebody who just doesn't play by the rules, you know? Someone who's willing to go this far. And we got to remember, this isn't happening out of the blue. Thompson's family, they'd been getting threats before all this.
Really?
Yeah, threats that were connected to his work at UnitedHealth. So that adds another layer to all of this, you know?
Absolutely. It's like those threats. They were almost like a warning sign.
Right.
A glimpse into what was coming. Makes you think, was this a hit? Like orchestrated by a rival company or something? Was there something big going on behind the scenes? Or are we looking at something more personal? Revenge, maybe. Like someone Thompson did wrong in the past.
There's also the chance this was a lone wolf, you know, someone who felt like really betrayed by the healthcare system, marginalized. Those inscribed bullets, maybe they were like a message, a statement against corporate greed, the whole system lashing out.
It's kind of scary to think about, right? Like someone gets to a point where they're so desperate, so disillusioned, that this is the only way out.
It does make you think about the state of healthcare, the anxiety, the frustration. Could this be a sign of something bigger, you know, a simmering rage about to boil over?
But let's go back to the suspect for a sec. Whoever they are, they definitely put a lot of thought into this. This wasn't just about shooting someone. It was about making a show of it, leaving their mark.
Exactly. The planning, the details, like choosing that specific gun, the B&T Station 6, precision, control. It wasn't just about firepower, it was a statement. Fake ID, burner phone, the bus trip, all planned out to hide who they were, where they were going. It's impressive and terrifying at the same time.
And the way they handled the gun during the shooting, remember how they cleared those malfunctions? Like it was nothing.
Smooth.
It wasn't just someone who knew how to shoot. They were trained, comfortable in a pressure situation.
That really stood out to me, too. You don't see that every day. It makes you think professional, right? Military, law enforcement background, maybe.
And yet you have those bullets with the words on them, which feels so personal, almost theatrical. It's that mix, the cold planning and then the symbolic gesture. It's hard to wrap your head around it. Like we're dealing with a criminal mastermind who also wants to send a message, wants to be heard, understood.
It's a real paradox, isn't it? Wanting to disappear but also make a statement. Like they're trying to have it both ways, to vanish but also leave their mark.
If they're trying to control the story, how people see all of this, do you think they knew how much attention this would get?
Oh, they had to know this wasn't going to be just another shooting. The target, the place, how it happened, everything was meant to grab attention, make people talk, force them to look.
But attention can be a bad thing too, right? The more people who are looking at this, the more likely someone's going to recognize something, a detail, something that's off.
Exactly. And that brings us back to those clues, those little things that could blow the whole case wide open, like that smudged fingerprint on the Starbucks cup. You got to wonder, will it be enough?
It seems so small, like a simple mistake. But in a case like this, where the suspect's been so careful, every little slip-up could be huge.
Fingerprints, the technology's come a long way. Even a partial print can tell you a lot. It depends on the quality, if there's anything on it, all that stuff.
So it's like a race against time, right? Investigators got to move fast, get that evidence processed before it's too late, before the trail goes cold.
And then there's the DNA evidence from the scene, hair, skin cells, anything they left behind. That's got to be a top priority for the investigators.
DNA, it's like the gold standard.
Yeah.
Right? If they get a good sample, it could lead them straight to the suspect, or at least give them some solid leads. It's like we're one DNA match away from putting a name to this mystery.
That's what they're hoping for. But DNA, it takes time, especially a case this big. There's a lot of pressure in those labs to get those results out fast.
And now the FBI's involved. A nationwide manhunt. You have to think, they're closing in. But until then, all these questions, you know, what was the real motive? Was this a one-time thing? Or is there something more to it? What does this all mean about healthcare? About the anger and resentment people are feeling?
It's a lot to take in, and we're just scratching the surface here. As we learn more, as the pieces start falling into place, maybe, just maybe, we'll start to understand what led to this, what was behind this.
Makes you think, you know, someone being pushed that far, that violence was the only way out. How many other people are out there feeling the same way about healthcare? You know, the anger, the resentment.
Yeah, it's a scary thought. It reminds you, behind all the numbers, the policies, there are real people trying to deal with a system that's, well, it's complicated, frustrating. And violence, obviously, it's never the answer. But you got to see, there are real anxieties, frustrations, people dealing with healthcare.
It's easy to get lost in all the talk about premiums, deductibles, all that. But it affects people, real people, their lives. And here it seems like someone just snapped.
Mm.
And the consequences, well, they're huge.
You see these extreme things, and often it comes from a feeling of, I don't know, desperation, like they're trapped, the system's against them, it's a tragedy. And it makes you wonder, could this happen again? Copycats, if they'll go after a CEO, a symbol of like corporate power, who else is a target?
Yeah, it's a disturbing thought. This could change everything. More security for other executives in healthcare everywhere.
I think that's going to happen. Law enforcement, they're going to take this seriously. Tell executives, be careful, watch your back. It's sad, but in this world, it's what you got to do.
It just shows you the dark side of everything being connected. One act of violence, and it sends shockwaves everywhere, industries, communities.
While we wait for answers for the police to do their thing, it's good to think about the bigger picture. What does this say about us? That a CEO can be, killed in broad daylight, maybe because of the very system he's a part of?
That's a tough question. It makes you look beyond the headlines. What are the real issues, the things that lead to this kind of violence? This isn't just a crime. It's about what people are feeling about healthcare in this country.
We need to talk about this stuff openly, honestly. How do we make healthcare better, fair, accessible, compassionate even?
We can't just pretend it's not happening. This is a wake-up call. We got to do better.
I agree completely. This whole case, it's shown us some ugly truths, and it's on us, all of us, to demand change, to find solutions, to get to the root of the problem.
So what now? What can we do, like individually, to actually make a difference?
I think the first thing is stay informed. Don't let this just fade away. Talk to people, friends, family, your representatives, whoever. Share what you're thinking. Demand better.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to feel helpless with something this big, but we can't lose hope. Every voice matters, every action, even the small ones.
We're all in this together. Healthcare, it affects us all. It's up to us to fight for a system that works for everyone.
Lots to think about for sure. We'll keep you updated on the case, and we hope you all stay engaged, stay informed, and stay hopeful.
Until next time, keep digging.